Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Mark Spector. I spent more time with Mark Spector last night than I ever have.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
what a great guy. Oh my, he wanted to know everything about me and this show and Florida. And I'm like, what a great guy. 12 hours later, he's embroiled in this Twitter horrible thing. And I'm like, the poor, now I'm on Mark's side because I got to know him. Like, he didn't do anything wrong.
You know, Rod, I think that's one of the things, and you know from your time around athletes and people, you end up, listen, I grew up an Oilers fan, so yeah, I'm an Oilers fan, and I work at not showing that on TV, and with time, it becomes easier because you pull for people, right? You know, Carter Verhaeghe had such a great quote after his 100th goal, which he scored his 101st last night. Former Lightning, current Panther, and he just, you know, he talked about being in the ECHL, and it took him 6 years and 2 trades to get to the NHL. So you start cheering for people, and we all have our favorite teams. I mean, that doesn't go away. It doesn't. You don't put it in a garbage can and leave it behind in a hotel room. And Mark, I've known Mark almost 40 years. To be honest with you, back in the University of Alberta days, CJSR radio station there, we used to do sports updates. Both of us trying to make it in the media world. And yeah, we arrived in Carolina, and I saw the back and forth with Tim Peel, a former NHL referee who I've always had good dealings with. You know, Tim was always a really engaging guy to chat with, and but you know, if you didn't see or hadn't heard, Tim posted on Twitter a text conversation between the two, and last I checked, I think it had 1.4 million likes.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
For those that just turned on their television and say, what's he ranting about now? I went to the local high school league and said, I want to give a free pizza to the MVP of every game all year long. And the league said, no, we can't, because that's not fair to the other sports in our program. I'm like, I don't care about the other sports. Come on, man. The football players, they're the ones that get all the chicks. They're the cool guys. That's who I want. I don't want to sponsor the swim team.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That's a true story. They all are. On this show, hi everybody, welcome to the RP Show. Yes, it is Canada's daytime sports talk show. And we're on the Game Plus television network, WQEE radio, and of course streaming, podcast, and all the rest. I am, as you see, in the South Florida studio. Darren Moose DuPont joins us from the Toronto studio, and today he has bragging rights. Your team beat my team last night, Moose. You know what I love about that? The Toronto Maple Leafs beating Florida. We never did come up, I don't think, with a bet on what it would be.
No.
So I think I skated on that one. I skated on that one, right?
Yeah, you did. You did. Although it was touch and go there at the end with the goal. Was it a goal? Was it not a goal? But at least Pomo was having some fun with it after, man. I love that guy when he's talking to the press.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to get into that right away. I'm going to tell everybody all and sundry, whatever that means. Our guests today are Alan May, Washington Capitals TV analyst, good personal friend of both yours and mine, and Brien Rea. I haven't met him in flesh, but I will eventually. Dallas Stars TV host, Bally Sports. Those are the guests. We're going to get into the Quick Six Show topics right away. And two things people need to know. You and I talk about this all the time outside the show. The show needs to be about us. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. It's not Sports Center. And a couple things. This morning we said we need to do what's best for the show. And while there's a lot of mainstream media and big-name media not touching the Corey Perry story and what went down yesterday and continues to go down, that is what everybody's talking about. So we're going to get into that in the Quick Six Show topics. And if you don't like it, here's your disclaimer. Turn it off, which reminds me, too, John Schmeiser in Kansas City writes in and says, good morning from KC. More Cal Murphy stories, please. You know where I'm going with this, and I'm going far earlier than you probably thought that I would. I had a chat this morning with a very good friend of mine from Saskatchewan. His name's Jeff. He's a big supporter of this show. And I love him. I told him this morning on the phone, I love you, Jeff, but I'm going to hang up because you're just ticking me off. Because what he said was, CFL's over, similar to what a hockey guy in Lethbridge said to me when the Grey Cup was over. He goes, CFL's over, don't talk about it for the next 6 months, maybe in June, come back to it. And I said, with all due respect, I do not tell you what to do with your business. So please do. And you're not even a sponsor of the show, which you might have a chance of telling me what to talk about if you sponsored the show, but you don't even do that. So just sit back and enjoy. And if you don't like it, I strongly encourage you to changer la canal. Because we're going to continue to talk about what we want to talk about on this show. And what I read, this was my intuition coming at me. I feel like the NHL coach, hey, Reg, you need to get to work on the power play. Hey, whoever the coach of the Oilers is today, you shouldn't have Evan Bouchard as your quarterback of the power play. Yeah, we're working on it. Thanks. We'll take it from here. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll go from here. Yeah, and you guys in Winnipeg also need to quit crapping on Paul Maurice. To say move on is moot. You're obviously not going to, but take it somewhere else. So before we get to the Corey Perry talk, here are our leftovers from Tuesday night in the National Hockey League. In Toronto, Noah Gregor scored in regulation and the shootout, helping the Maple Leafs beat the Panthers 2-1. Evan Rodriguez appeared to have won the shootout for Florida in the 5th round, but was judged to have touched the puck twice. A double tap, they're calling it, following a video review. So just hang on. I'll just go through the highlight games. We'll come back on everything. In Edmonton, Connor McDavid had a goal and 2 assists and added the shootout winner as Edmonton got a measure of revenge for last year's playoff loss to Vegas, beating the Golden Knights 5-4. In Vancouver, Brock Besser scored twice to help the Canucks beat Anaheim 3-1. Ho, ho, ho. Elias Pedersen snapped a third-period tie as Vancouver improved to 3-4 in its last 7. In Winnipeg, netminder Jake Ottinger stopped 27 shots to record his first shutout of the season, leading Dallas over Winnipeg 2-0. Connor Hellebuck stopped 19 at 21 for the Jets, who snapped his 4-game personal win streak. It's their 2nd loss in a row for Winnipeg. And we wind it up in Chicago. The epicenter of the NHL right now, Tyler Johnson and Mackenzie Entwistle scored in the 2nd period in Chicago, topped Seattle 4-3 after dropping 6 of 7. Connor Bedard was pointless in the game and -1 for those that check the score sheet like I do. So let me just say this, going way back to the top. You said that you really love Paul Maurice for what he said after the game. What did he say that blew your skirt up, per se? I didn't notice anything real out of the ordinary.
Nothing. There's nothing juicy. Like, it's not like he said something groundbreaking. I'm like, yeah, you tell him, but because that's just not what gets me going. He just showed personality, you know? It was just real. Like, he's a guy who gets up there and he doesn't just seem to spit out hockey talk all the time, you know, and coach speak. He's like, they asked him about the double tap and he's like, you know, it's good that we had rules. Good we have rules. And then he laughed and he caught himself and he dropped an F-bomb and he laughed and he gets like, you know, he understands the role that he plays, the role the media has to play. And he's like, you know, the players handled it better than the coach did, you know, and he's honest in his assessment. And it's just a guy that I think you would like being around. You know, that's the vibe I get from Pomo. He'll be honest and he'll be hard on you a little bit, but he also is somebody who's real and genuine.
Where I think sports would come a long ways is if they were like they used to be. Sorry, I meant to tell you to grab the TikTok comments, and maybe we do a segment today on reading the TikTok comments on the videos that you post on our behalf from our show account. But I thought Paul Maurice was a little boring. I was watching him from one province over when he was in Winnipeg and I was in Saskatchewan. 9 seasons he was there. And he kind of bored me. But then I met him at the Heritage Classic. I'm like, he's everything that you just said. He's very engaging. He's funny. And because I had that opportunity to be around him in person, now I feel like I learn something from him every time I listen to him. And my point on that is, COVID was the breaking point or the cutoff line. History will show in 100 years, COVID, when we separated everybody, the teams and the players and the coaches and the fans and the media, never going back. But I still think we should have those Saturday morning brunches at Eaton's. Do we still have an Eaton's? You know, fan events, bring everybody together, because I think once you know people, personally, it really changes your perspective of them. Not everybody watching today and listening is going to know you and me personally. We're working on it. We would like for that to happen. But that's my only thing on Pomo. My takeaway from him was he goes, well, we got a point and a road game back-to-back nights. I'll take it. He obviously wasn't going to say enough to get fined. And now the Panthers had today off, and then they roll into Montreal to conclude this 3-game roadie. So anyways, people are writing in from Winnipeg. We got to post the clip from yesterday, even make a meme out of it, where I said Edmonton is the most stable of all Canadian NHL fan bases, Oiler fans. And by the way, that's not saying much. But even in Winnipeg, I'm sorry, Winnipeg, you know, we got each other. We do. But you're negative even when you're winning. You're negative. You're winning and you're still trolling Paul Maurice. Right? Rick Bowness is gone from the team and you're winning and you're saying when he comes back you're going to lose. And I know I covered this yesterday. And but for the benefit of those that weren't watching, with Oilers fans, they're fairly real about it. Like when they suck, they're like, yeah, we suck, we know it. And when they're great, they're like, yeah, we're great, we know it. But they're not, I don't feel like getting in people's faces or anything. They're very real about their team. And the Leafs fans are not, and I don't want to go down that road any more than what we have. So those were our takeaways from the leftovers of last night. We'll continue it all. There are only 3 games tonight. But this is what we came for here today. And don't tell me this hasn't been coffee table talk, supper table talk, around the cart, dressing room talk. The Chicago Blackhawks say veteran forward Corey Perry engaged in unacceptable conduct and have taken a step toward terminating his contract. Chicago put Perry on unconditional waivers and said his deal will be terminated as long as he clears. The team has not given any indication as to what Perry did to warrant being sent home last week. Now, give me a second, and I'll find the quote here from the general manager, Kyle Davidson. I saw David Ayres I'm not sure they're still together or not, Sarah, David Ayres' wife. She still goes by Ayres. She said on Twitter, I follow her on Twitter because she's a pretty cool gal. She was like, I can't wait for the next Spittin' Chicklets to see what they have to say about this. And I'm like, is that not just a commentary of where we are in the media sports world right now? It used to be, can't wait to hear what Don Cherry has to say. Can't wait for the 11 o'clock news. No, can't wait for the latest Spittin' Chickens podcast to get their take. This tells you where we're at. So the quote, as this is an individual personnel matter, I will not be able to disclose any details related to the initial reporting or the findings, said General Manager Kyle Davidson. However, I do want to be very clear on this point. This does not involve any players or their families, and anything that suggests otherwise or anyone that suggests otherwise is wildly inaccurate, and frankly, it's disgusting. I appreciate him saying that because the initial statement just poured more gas onto what the rumor was, and we all know what it is, so I will continue to not dignify it, but we will talk around it because I noticed a lot of the really big names in the media were like, ooh, 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 not going near this. And I get it. And here's, I don't mind. You know, the thing was the Bedard family. We're defending their honor. It's in my commentary today. If you know them personally, you know there was no way that this rumor happened. And what really is ticking me off is people that I know personally are coming back at me and say, I wouldn't be so sure. No, this is not unheard of. I'm like, do you know them? No. Then STFU.
How about that?
Did Melanie Bedard not specifically come up to you in the concourse at the Brand Center and thank you on behalf of the family for the nice things we've said about them and done for Connor and the job that we did as the play-by-play crew for the back? Did she not do that to you?
She did. That's right.
Yeah.
You got a pretty good idea.
No, you go ahead.
You get a pretty good idea of the people that they are, you know? And if you know them and you haven't any idea what kind of people they are, you're right. You would know this is not true. And the fact that he had to say it is disappointing, but he did. He came out and said it, Davidson. And now that he said it, I would hope that that's put this to bed. And, you know, we need to move on from that because that is no longer an issue.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, but long after Kyle Davidson made that statement, I've seen people writing me. I'm not going to name them. It's like he never even said it. It's like they completely ignored it, and they're still making jokes and making these comments. And I'll say it again. If you know these people personally, which I do and have a long-standing relationship with him, you know that there was no way this ever happened. And what, again, ticks me off is I've said that, and people still don't believe me. And some of those are family members of mine. Others are really close members of mine. And to be honest, I don't really know how to deal with it, because you know what happens when you speak your truth and they still don't listen? You need to walk away. The conversation's over. And you don't know when you pick up the next conversation, because right now I'm not interested in it. You don't want to listen to the truth? That's pretty damn scary to me. Really scary to me. And the basis of my commentary today is that Connor and his family are learning some really harsh lessons. Connor at 18 is specifically learning one, that the truth doesn't need to answer questions. As long as you know the truth in your heart of hearts, you don't need to worry about what anybody else is saying, what anybody else is doing. Block it all out. Way easier said than done, but at the very least, he's getting a head start on it at 18. I see everybody saying that social media is the culprit, and in a way it is, but more so people are. Because somewhere along the line, somebody had to start this false rumor. Somebody with evil in their heart had to start this false rumor. And then it was spread by social media. But guns aren't the problem. People are. Drugs and alcohol aren't the problem. People are. See what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily social media being the villain here. But again, the truth doesn't have to answer questions, and the Bedard family certainly does not. Now, our poll question today for Key Auto Group is this. And by the way, at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. Corey Perry, let's talk about him, which is a whole other part of this discussion, which we've got 3 minutes to do it. And next segment, we're going to switch over to CFL, NFL, and some more NHL. But the question is, will Corey Perry ever play in the NHL again? My vote would be yes. Serena in absentia will send in her vote. I'm just going to say on her behalf, no, because we talked about this on the couch at home. And she's often said, if we could just put a camera on our couch, it'd be the greatest show ever. 51% saying no, he'll never play again. 49% saying yes, he will. I'm saying yes, he will. He is not the first person in the world to be canceled. And while we wait for Darren to come back on the screen, there he is. I can tell you, as God is my witness and on my mother's grave, I have no idea what Corey Perry did. I have no idea. I'm respecting him, the team, and my relationships with people on that team. I'm not sending them the messages. Obviously, the hockey people, we're all talking about it, going, what could he have done? And I'm thinking, hey, this is a team that probably has very little tolerance for any kind of hijinks. So it might not have been that serious. Or it might be completely heinous, too. I don't know. I would suggest in NHL circles, most teams know what it is. I don't. But back to you, do you think he'll play in the NHL again or not?
I hate to just, dance around it a little bit, but it really depends on what he did, whether he'll play again. And you're right, the teams know, or if they don't know, if he's going to play again, they will know what happened before he signs with another team. That is for certain. If I had to guess right now, I would say no, he doesn't play again. I would say his career is over. Not knowing what happened, I would say his career is over and he's not going to play again. But I'm with you. I was going to say the exact same thing, and I'm glad you said it. Because of the history with the Chicago Blackhawks and the scrutiny they've been under and the investigation they went through with Kyle Beach and everything else, they would have very little room for tolerance on anything. And this could be something small. They're not going to take any chances. Or it could be something very big and serious. I would imagine it's not nothing, that it's something serious, because you don't lose a multi-million-dollar contract over something that's not a serious matter, especially when you've invested and paid signing bonuses and things like that. But I would imagine you're not going to get away with anything if you're the Chicago Blackhawks right now, especially in the court of public opinion. So, yeah.
Coffee table talk here. The View for sports fans. That's what we do. From the audience, Sam's Scarf Closet, that's the account, says, I'm guessing he hazed someone. Something that was done to him when he was a rookie, but unacceptable today. He's a good guy from a good family. Troy in Toronto says, has anyone ever heard a bad word said about Corey Perry in the past? I haven't. A lot of people on the ice hate his guts, but off the ice, he's always seemed to be fine. Jay in Toronto says, watch the Leafs give him a tryout. Yeah. Ali Arcana says, man, Rod is preaching this morning, and I am here for it. I'm not sure if any of it is right, but again, it's how I feel. The Barflies in Winnipeg says, Kyle Davidson sounded like he was near tears during his press conference. Yeah, because if you do know the Bedard family, and as the general manager of the team that took Connor #1 overall, you would know the Bedards would be like family. You'd be very offended for them. And that's why, again, knowing them personally was very easy to say there's zero chance of this happening, and I get quite ticked off at people that won't listen to that. Because then it's like, you need to go away. And I'm sorry that you're one of my closest friends or your family, but you need to go away because you're not listening to the truth. There's a lot of that. We're only back 2 points, 3 maybe points to the quick 6. We'll be back in a moment. Alan May and Brien Rea on the way. Oh, I'm a poet and didn't know it. Live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Am I right on that, Moose? Did you Google sober carpenter and your town and it came up? Is that what happened? Or how did you find out?
No, I was literally walking through the Whole Foods and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go check out and see what they have over here and see if they've got sober carpenter. And sure enough, they did, sitting in the beer section. So that was kind of cool.
How about that? Hiding amongst the
How about that?
actual alcoholic beers was the non-alcoholic beer, which, by the way, our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewery out of Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. Love those guys and gals. They know that the best beer is the one that's earned. Check them out at commoncrown.ca. I can tell you our audience is not done with the story of Corey Perry here. I'm trying to, whatever, I can't. I had it and I lost it. I apologize. If you have thoughts on Corey Perry, and again, the poll question is, do you think he'll ever play in the NHL again? Who knows? Like at 37, he's been in the NHL 20 years, won his Stanley Cup, clearly made his money. Oh, my God. Not totally done with the Corey Perry story. I mean, I don't know what he did. I just feel like, as Barflies in Winnipeg wrote in and goes, imagine being kicked off the Chicago Blackhawks for inappropriate behavior. He's basically saying, how bad does it need to be? And I feel like it could be not that bad at all. I don't have any idea. We live in the cancel culture age, so everybody's so afraid to do anything or say anything anymore. And again, he doesn't really have a history that I know of poor behavior. Anyways, Jim Wagner writes in from Balgoni. He says, good day, all rolling with the RP posse on a beautiful Wednesday. Glad to have you, Jim. Appreciate you. Wayne in BC says, I like that Rod is honest and says he doesn't know what Corey Perry did. I don't know either. I think that if it's so bad that he doesn't play anymore, it would be bad. Well, who knows? Swerve in Calgary writing in with stupid, inappropriate comments, and Swerve, you're about to get kicked out. So watch yourself. Consider yourself warned. I guess enough on that for now. We can certainly come back on it later. All I have written down for point 3 is simply touchdown Pacific. I'm not sure the time because I wasn't paying that close attention to it because we're not going to be there. But in Victoria, British Columbia this morning, there's a news conference with the City of Victoria, the BC Lions, and the Canadian Football League. And everybody spilled the beans, as you noticed. I say it again. Cleve Deanshaw, who writes for the Victoria Times columnist, guy does a great job. He had in there the details. Oh, it's going to be it's going to be a game. Lions playing regular season. Sources say they're going to play Ottawa. I'm like, oh my God. So when I break news, I get canceled. Others break the news, and it's okay. I don't get that. But here we are. Frankly, I think Touchdown Pacific is fantastic. I don't think, what month is it? Yeah, the CFL schedule is, when you live in Florida, it's a thing. You literally forget not only what month it is, what season it is. You don't even, what time of year is it? I'd like to be there. You, by the way, take this away a little bit. You were in the BC Lions den, and you were hoping to make acquaintance with the Lions executives. You were told to stay because they wanted to meet you, but you couldn't wait all day. But that might be a fun thing to go to next summer, right? Tell everybody your take on this.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go there next summer, and I really hope that we can make that work because this is great. It's going to be a good year, and it makes a lot of sense. It sounds like there's no Touchdown Atlantic, but there will be, well, it's called Touchdown Pacific, and it's coming out at, I think, 2:30 Eastern, so 11:30 Pacific is when they're supposed to have the announcement. Now, it's going to be great because they're, tying it all in with the Grey Cup. They usually have training camp right in Kamloops. They're going to play a regular season game in Victoria. They're getting very provincial, engaging that whole community, and really turning the entire province of BC onto the Canadian Football League in the 3-down game. SFU's not there anymore. The Red Leafs playing 4-down ball in the NCAA. That's not a thing anymore. So the momentum is building, and I like the way that they're approaching this on a Grey Cup year, continuing to provide more football and more access to the whole province. It's a great move, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun and build a lot of great momentum.
Well, it's interesting where they're at in Canada. It's very interesting. I mentioned my friend Jeff this morning, who told me never to talk CFL for the next 6 months. And I said, that's not going to happen, so don't watch if you don't like it. He specifically said, he goes, I think the NHL is following the NFL's footprint of playing games globally. We know that the NFL this year played in London. Then they played in Germany. The NHL's played in Sweden. They've played in Australia. There's no better... Listen, I get it, man. I get it. I've extrapolated it to what I do. That's why I took my old show and me out to all those towns across Saskatchewan and then across the prairies with this show to sample the product. Some are going to love it. Some, me. That's how you grow it. And that's the CFL going to Victoria. Now, I got to say this, and for those in Victoria, please chime in and let me know. I've been in Victoria multiple times, but it was only for hockey. With the Pats. No, Raiders. Oh, my God. Am I old? When I say that, it was 93. Went there with the PA Raiders. Donnie Clark was our coach. That was the first time. Played in the old rink against the Victoria Cougars, and it was awesome. And then I went back again in the new rink, and it was awesome as well. I guess with the Pats, I can't remember. I'm missing the decades here. But I was never there for football. Is the point.
Yeah.
I guess from what I read in the Victoria Times Colonist that they're going to, did I say communist? Victoria Times Colonist. I think that's what it is. They're going to play in the current football stadium that they have. But I don't know what that is. What do you think? What do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure either where the game's going to be played or where they would host it. I'm not familiar enough with Victoria, but it will be interesting to find out when they announce it. To me, it doesn't matter where they're going to play it. Doesn't matter to me where they're going to play it, how big the stadium is, how many fans can show up. The fact is they're doing it, and they're going to give it a shot and give it a go. And in a time where, BC Lions football is growing and they're getting tens of thousands more fans than maybe they were a few years ago, and opening the upper deck for games, this is kind of big that they would, not be short-sighted to say, look, we're going to give that up, because I guarantee you they're probably not going to go to Victoria and play in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people. Like, that's just, I don't think there's a facility there for that. But the fact that they're saying, look, we're going to take, a little short-term hit on gate, but we're going to open this up to new people and grow our product long-term. It's really good thinking, long-term visionary thinking from the Lions.
I think before we bring in Alan May next, we can probably sneak in all of our topics here. Carter is watching in Calgary, just to point something out here. And for whatever reason, my MacBook's completely wonky. I was meeting with my lawyer yesterday. He bought a new computer. He was all excited about it. He paid $700 and it didn't work. I'm like, bro, get a MacBook. Which is another thing. Oh my God, I can't even lift my arm. I had 2 more shots today. Did I tell you this? I had 2 last week, made me sick as a dog. Never had a flu shot in my life, but with my other life, the one that people don't know or care about, I had to get these shots. I had to. Mandated. I can't even lift my damn arm. Carter says, funny how they punish one player, and yet their organization has hidden how much garbage under the rug. Joke organization. Bedard, get out. Al, I'm sure it would be nice, but he can't. He's not going anywhere. This is what the latest. I called Darren to see if I had this right. On the Saskatchewan Roughriders coaches search, they say that it's down to Buck Pierce or Corey Mace. But now Justin Dunk reporting that Scott Milanovich sounds like he was the front runner, but the Roughriders wanted to dictate to him who was going to be on his coaching staff. All I have to say about that is, you're surprised by this? You are all starting to find out what goes on and what has been going on. You're all starting to figure it out. I personally have moved on. They want to tell Scott Milanovich who's going to be on his staff, so he said, see ya, and you all act like that's news. So to point 4, NHL tonight, we'll get to that later. As a matter of fact, maybe next segment, because Alan May will be with us in Washington's at the Kings. Point 5, the NBA's in-season tournament is down to its final 8 teams. Indiana will play Boston. Milwaukee will play New York. The Lakers will play Phoenix. And Sacramento will play New Orleans in next week's quarterfinals. Semifinals are set for December 7th in Vegas, and the championship game is there 2 days later. Listen, you've been watching ESPN, you said. From what I saw, they said, hey, they're happy. The ratings are up. It's created interest in the league. I still don't understand what the hell's going on, but I don't think they were marketing to me, so they don't care what I think. Are you starting to get a handle on the NBA in-season tournament? Because I don't care, but I'm hearing about it a lot. So that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, I hear about it, and I have a handle on what it is and how the format and stuff works, but I'm not a basketball guy, so I'm just into watch the games anyways. Maybe when they have this tournament championship, maybe I'll watch the final game. Although, I don't know, not my thing. And as you mentioned, they're not marketing to me, but seems cool. All the floors have been painted different. That looks kind of cool. And the games have been okay. So if it's working, that's good.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out for them. It's not, again, not my thing, and it's not what this show will ever be. I don't care what Darren Dreger thinks about the Blue Jays. I don't care what Troy Aikman thinks about the New York Rangers. It's not what I tune into them for. You know what I mean? So I don't think anybody cares what we think about the Raptors or the Blue Jays or the NBA. But point 6, the NFL set a Thanksgiving Day viewership record for the second straight year, with the 3 games averaging 34.1 million viewers on TV and digital platforms. That's up 1.5% from last year. Again, new ratings record for the National Football League on U.S. Thanksgiving last Thursday. Who's shocked? Not us. Alan May next, and we'll get to more with Moose next hour. See you, Moose.
Later.
Talking NHL next on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Daytime sports talk at its best, coming at you on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio, streaming as well. Just a 3-game NHL night tonight. Habs at Columbus, Red Wings at the Rangers, and then the Washington Capitals at the LA Kings. Alan May will be breaking down that Caps game as he joins us from Capitals TV. And hey, Al, it is, as you know, the view for sports fans. Oh, we don't have him? We had him, and then we just lost him. Oh, boy. I got the thumbs up, good to go, and then just told, oh, hang on. Well, you got to love that, don't you? Steve, sorry, Steve McIntosh, I was going to get to the text messages, but now we have Alan May, so hold on. The joys of live broadcasting. Al's had a few of those moments. Hey, Alan. It's, as we say, the view for sports fans today, coffee table discussion. Our poll question is this: will Corey Perry ever play in the NHL again in light of yesterday's news? How are you voting on that?
I'm going to say he will because, you know, we're hearing all types of different things. It's mostly gossip and innuendo. And it sounds like, I don't know which side to take on this, but, you know, there really hasn't been a whole lot of information. But I would say he does. And I think the Chicago Blackhawks are more sensitive to every situation and every detail that there is. And I don't know if they over-rotated, overreacted, but it seems like, you know, the two sides are at odds over whatever the incident was.
Well, Corey Perry's been in the NHL a long time, as have you. He does not have a history of being a troublemaker, as I know, unless you know something I don't.
No, you know what? I've never heard anything concerning about Corey Perry ever, other than, you know, if I was playing in the National Hockey League and I was playing against Corey Perry, I'd keep my eye on him at all times because he's got a habit of accidentally falling into you on purpose, driving his knees through your goaltender or whatever he does. But, you know, that's the way he plays the game, and that's why he's always been such a sought-after player, is because he is a guy that puts it all on the line. You know, he's not fast. He never has been. One-time MVP of the National Hockey League, Stanley Cup champion. And I just look at him. He's got a long pedigree. I've never heard anything off the ice, but it doesn't mean that he's an angel, or that doesn't mean there's been something there. And, you know, as long as these details and the vagueness of, you know, what we are hearing and not hearing, we, you know, I think it's unfair to everyone to jump to conclusions. And I know the internet was abuzz with you know, a bunch of the biggest garbage in the last few days. It's absolutely disgusting what people think is funny and what they put on anonymously, basically, and are saying about Corey Perry and his teammates and everything else. So it's a really weird situation, and I'm not sure it's been handled the way it should have been handled from minute one.
Yeah, oh, I couldn't agree more. People are sick. It's a lesson for all of us. I was going to send some text messages out to people on this, and I thought, wait a minute, Rod, you know the truth. You know the family. You know there's zero chance of this. I didn't. And eventually we found out that it was wrong. So let's move on to happier things. The Washington Capitals. This one story that I've heard, people are like, how are they so good when Ovi has not been filling the net? That's a big story so far.
Well, you know, they haven't been too great the last couple of games. You know, they lost to San Jose the other night. San Jose's played them hard a couple times, but I think the biggest thing, after they went 1-3-1, they really turned their game around. And I think over the last 10 games are still 8-1-1, but it's been, from the net on out through the defensive zone, they had to buckle down. The neutral zone, they were playing fast and they were playing very hard and difficult until the past 2 games. And their forecheck was very exciting. And we'll have to say, from the games that they played at home, the majority after that first 5-game stretch, I guess they had a great game, an exciting game in that first 5 against the Calgary Flames, which they won in a shootout. And Darcy Kemper stole the game, was absolutely spectacular. But since that time, they played some very exciting hockey games, and something we hadn't seen in 3 years, because under Laviolette, they had some decent records the first couple of years, actually really good records, but the hockey was less than be desired. And when you pay so much for tickets, I didn't feel like people were getting their entertainment value. So this season, I believe they've been getting their value in what they're paying for their tickets. The games have been very exciting. They've been nail biters because the Caps haven't been scoring goals, and that's because the grade 8 hasn't been, firing on all cylinders. He's not shooting the puck very well right now. He's not getting his normal volume of shots, but they're playing, when they play well, they play fast in all 3 zones. They're in your face. The last couple of games, they got away from it. I thought they were way too structured, and I thought they were waiting when they played the Oilers on Friday, on Thanksgiving Friday. I thought they were just way too slow in that game, way too much respect to McDavid and Draisaitl, and they never got their game in order. And I thought they should have crushed Edmonton, because Edmonton has been the worst team in the National Hockey League all season long inside their own zone. And the Caps didn't do anything to make their players make decisions. So you take the last 2 games and throw them out, the Caps have been pretty good.
I'm looking at the standings here. I guess it's still pretty tight. I mean, last I checked, the Caps had something to be happy about. But yes, we did watch them get bombed 5-0 by the Oilers. But I'd like to think that was just a burn the video type of game. But Ovi, 5 goals in 18 games. Pretty easy now to say he's not going to catch Wayne. Or do you expect him to catch fire at some point?
Well, I still think that he's got to get himself into playing shape. And I'm not saying that he's out of shape. I just don't think that he went into the off season trying to kill himself to be 3% body fat. And, he wanted to get into the season, get his legs. He's skating better week by week. And at some point, we know he's going to rifle off 5 or 6 games in a row, score multiple goals, and then have one of those 3 or 4 goal games when he's counted out. So I still haven't counted him out. And I'm the record, it still seems so far away, but I honestly believe once they get this power play in order, they do pretty much the worst power play in the National Hockey League when you go by the numbers right now. And they're doing the same setup. They keep changing players, who's here and who's there. But I think the majority of the league knows what they're going to do in their 1-3-1 and how they're going to move the puck. And they can try a few wrinkles, but I think until they structurally change their power play, Ovi's not going to get on the board continually. They have to move players around. I think they need more of a net presence. I think they have to have maybe Ovi go into the slot and start getting some shots from there, because the so-called Ovi office hasn't been producing this season because everyone kind of knows how to play it right now. And it takes a lot of balls to be on the penalty kill to play against Ovi because we're seeing guys race out there to block those shots right now. And if they don't block it, the shot is fired wide or it hits the outside of the net, hits the outside of the post. So until they structurally change the power play, I don't think it's going to get going. And I think that's going to affect Ovi's numbers. And, they've been winning with a power play that only has 3 goals. They haven't scored in 11 games. Prior to that, they scored 3 games in a row. And it's been 11 games. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes or so without a power play goal of power play time. So not very good. Not a whole lot of high dangers coming out of it either.
I'd love to know how you ignore the noise, if you're able to at all. Like, I'm still learning, and I'm not sure I'll ever figure that out. And when I mean noise, I mean just chatter, that endless chatter you hear. I don't know if you can. But one thing I heard is that the Capitals will allow Ovi to play until he catches Wayne. Do you think that is the case?
You know what? I think the biggest thing, and if it takes 5 years, I don't think Ovi will be playing because, he's got a standard that he wants to play as well. And there's been no noise of that around here. The biggest thing is he's still got years on his contract. It's this year and 2 more. The hope was that, I thought for sure he'd break it next season. Right now, he's on pace for less than 20 goals. And, that's not where he wants to be. I'm sure that's not where the team wants to be in a wins and losses standpoint. But to me, the team's not going to get in his way. And I believe we have this area around the arena they refer to as Chinatown. And it has been built by Alexander Ovechkin, not the basketball team. The day Bruce Boudreau became the coach, even though Obi had a few seasons in him, it was Thanksgiving years ago, 2007 or so, or 2008. 2007, Thanksgiving Friday, this franchise turned on its ear, and it was they put Ovechkin and Backstrom together. They put Ovechkin and Backstrom on the first power play unit, which Obi was already there. Bruce Boudreau became the coach that day. And about a month later, that place sold out every game until this October against the Calgary Flames. And you know what? Ovechkin deserves a lot. There's been a lot of great numbers put up by him. We didn't have so many great coaches here over the years, but when the right mix with Barry Trotz and the players were on that last final Stanley Cup team, they won a Stanley Cup. And I didn't think it was going to be possible until they started changing how they ran this franchise. And as Brian McClellan started to do things drastically different than George. And they were very aggressive those first few years and free agent signings and some of the trades they made. And then, finally they went with the younger team and won a Stanley Cup. So, whatever the noise is in Canada, we don't hear it here in DC. I don't think you can tell Obi, we want you to quit. I don't think you can cut him, send him to the minors, do anything foolish. He's been great. And as long as he wants to play, you allow him to play. But if it takes 5 or 6 years to break that record, I don't think he'll be playing.
Yeah, I think the noise was here in Florida. Somebody said it, but no matter. Al, we are out of time. We got to go. I apologize. Yeah, we got to go. We got to run. We'll do it again soon. Happy holidays if I don't see you. Man, thanks for the time today.
Take care and enjoy Florida.
Washington Capitals TV analyst Alan May. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover right after this. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, going to get to as much of the viewer takeover if we can. We ran out of time, but I wanted to ask Alan May what the heck he's doing now. Very talented guy on the Capitals broadcast, but 1 minute you see him ringside by the glass. He's the ringside reporter. Next minute he's doing color on the radio. Next minute he's on the concourse greeting fans. Next minute he's in his living room while the team's in L.A. I don't know. He's a very talented guy, Alan May. He can do whatever he wants. But I'd like to know specifically what his role is. I don't know. Sports update. The Toronto Raptors look to shake off a 2-game losing skid as they host the red-hot Phoenix Suns tonight. Raps were dumped 115-103 in Brooklyn last night. I believe the Suns have won 7 in a row. They are the most popular team in the Valley of the Sun, the Phoenix Suns. They were there first. And although they've never won anything, neither has anybody else there for the most part. Although the D-backs do have at least one World Series to their credit. Mark Cuban, actually they got a couple, right? Mark Cuban is selling his majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks to the family that runs the Las Vegas Sands Casino Company. Cuban would retain control of basketball operations in the deal. How about this? Retired baseball star Andre Dawson, the Hawk, says he wants to replace the Expos cap on his Hall of Fame plaque with a Cubs cap. He tells the Chicago Tribune that he feels more associated with the Cubs than with the now defunct Montreal team. Ain't that a kick in the junk for us old-time Expos fans? Dawson played 11 seasons in Montreal, 6 in Chicago. He was named NL MVP with the Cubs in 1987. How do we feel about that? Moose won't, I don't think, have an opinion. So for those of you older than 40, even 45, how do we feel? I'm a little insulted by that. I get it. He's like, my team that I played for doesn't even exist anymore. I want to be with the Cubs. I don't like it. It's his life. Last minute of play in hour 1. It's his plaque. He has the right to do that. We have the right to not be very happy about it. How about that?
How about that?
Sports Update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, 5 Nights at Freddy's. Can you survive 5 nights? Find out now at Landmark Cinemas. Regarding topics moving into the winter, Steve in Hamilton says, Rod, I love the CFL talk. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Not as much as the summer, of course, in those 6 months, but we will talk. Why would you ignore a huge segment of your customer base? Why would you do that? You wouldn't do that if you were smart. Moose in next hour, and Brien Rea of the Dallas Stars. Stick around after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
For those that just turned on their television and say, what's he ranting about now? I went to the local high school league and said, I want to give a free pizza to the MVP of every game all year long. And the league said, no, we can't because that's not fair to the other sports in our program. I'm like, I don't care about the other sports. Come on, man. The football players, they're the ones that get all the chicks. They're the cool guys. That's who I want. I don't want to sponsor the swim team.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2. Welcome to Hour 2. Isn't it interesting? It's episode number 1131 of your favorite daytime sports talk show, Canada's Pardon the Interruption. How about that? The View for sports fans, whatever you want to call it. I'm here in South Florida. The Moose is in Toronto. And away we go. We're at it. And I've got 3 Sober Carpenter cans over my shoulder, Darren. One of them is not empty. One of them's full. You want to take a guess?
I was going to say, right. Does one have the Willy Wonka golden ticket in it?
This is our own shell game. Which one do you think? Pick one. This is like the Tim Hortons coffee cups in the hockey rinks in Canada. We do the, move them around. Which one do you think it is?
I feel like the
dark
full
green one
is
the pink one.
I'm going to eliminate the one on your right. I'm going to say the dark green one is the full one.
Oh, how about that? He's got it, everybody.
Yes.
You did it. Yeah. Ding-ding-ding-ding. Yeah. Way to go, Moose.
I got a skill.
And I get to celebrate with a sober carpenter. Did you buy? Yeah. I don't know how you knew. You're very perceptive, you. Anyways, we are rocking and rolling into hour 2 of this program on Game Plus Television. And just for those that don't know, it's non-alcoholic craft beer, so don't get your knickers in a knot. He's not drinking on live television here today. Curtis writes in and says, where can I get those, Rod? Well, where are you, Curtis? That would start. Ask for it by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store would be a good place to start. Go to sobercarpenter.com. They have a vendor list on there. Or as I say, type in your city name and Sober Carpenter, and it'll pop up where you can buy at a vendor. That's what happened for me here in Boca. Hey, so we'll start hour 1 where I ended. Sorry, we'll start hour 2 where I ended hour 1. Where's the dude? Sea Lightning. Right, that's the name. Sea Lightning writes in on YouTube. It says viewer ratings would plummet with a Canadian team in the World Series. I don't know, man. I don't want to talk about that. But are you offended at all that Andre the Hawk Dawson would say he wants his Hall of Fame cap on his plaque changed from Expos to Cubs? Does that bother you at all?
No, because I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool Montreal Expos fan. But if I was, I may be a little miffed. Like, why don't you want my team on there? Why don't you want the Expos on there? You know, if you have a significant career with both and a significant attachment to both, I'd like to see a way that both can be recognized and not just one. Obviously, there's some players in the Hall of Fame, though, where do you draw the line? Because guys play 4 or 5 teams and have an attachment to all of them, and they don't want to slight any fan base. So it's a tough argument. But yeah, I would be a little offended if I was an Expos fan.
I appreciate the fact that the way you look at things, it's the way you're wired, it's not either or, it's both. But you also know that in life, it's not always that. Sometimes, Darren, you're going to have to pick one.
That's right.
You know that, right? And in the case of Gary Carter, well, no, you don't necessarily have to stick with it, but I've been divorced twice. You got to pick one. You don't have to stick forever, but you got to pick one. The Mets, you know, that's where Gary Carter won a World Series in 1986. The reason I bring this up is it's not your fault you were born in 87. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
You know, but I grew up as the child on the farm that had 3 televisions and 2 were English, 1 was French. And people laugh at that, but you want to know why I'm so good at French? That's a big reason why. I had it pumped into my brain from the time I was a child. And I was watching Montreal Canadiens hockey games, Les Habitants. That's a hockey team. And Les Expos on French language television. And Dave Van Horn on CBC. Right? Those names probably don't mean anything to you, but they mean a lot to me. That was my team. The awesome logo, the batting helmets that we used to wear. Was that a thing when you were a kid? Like you could go to the fair, throw a baseball, and you would win a plastic batting helmet. And we would wear these suckers around downtown Regina. We were the coolest guys ever. And the Expos were the coveted ones. And I had a Houston Astros one, and I had a Mets one. And now here's the Hawk. It's like, you don't want to be an Expo? F you then, man. Goodbye. But the team died. And then again, this is another experiment in watching human behavior. Because when the Washington Nationals won the World Series a few years ago, you remember me saying on this show, I teared up. I'm like, that's my team. Expos left Montreal for Washington, but nobody else in Canada cared. It's a little like the Winnipeg Jets moving to Arizona in 1996. A lot of people cheered for Arizona, went from Winnipeg to watch games. Others hated them. Hated Gary Bettman for allowing it to happen. There's not all one way to do it. Overtime hockey lanes. Randy writing in from Calgary. Hey, Randy, I assume it's Randy. He says, where did Andre make most of his records? If they let him change, well, then why not put a Rangers uniform on Wayne Gretzky? Again, Darren, you probably understand that. I'm thinking the Hawk is looking at this as a business decision. Who the hell are the Expos to anybody anymore? I want to be thought of as Cubs alum. Don't you think that's probably what he's thinking? Nobody even knows who his team is.
I know.
I would say.
As of right now, like, he doesn't have any attachment to the Washington Nationals. And I don't think you see the Washington Nationals honoring him as a cherished alumni, right? They're not necessarily sitting there with any of the Expos alumni doing anything or throwing out the first pitch or, excuse me, having big, Hall of Fame nights. Maybe they are. I don't want to jump to, assuming, but yeah, you want an alumni to be attached to, an alumni to be a part of, to support a city, all those types of things. I think it's, I don't hate it, but I don't want them to just throw away, Montreal and what that team still, I think, means to that city.
Troy in Toronto writes in and says, damn, I graduated high school in 1987. Moose's new nickname should be Puppy. No, Moose is fine. It sticks. It works. It's good. People do love the stories, and this is a sports show, and these are sports stories. We'll get back to the stories of the day and tonight's games in sports in a second, but, and Troy knows this, you're not supposed to have regrets in life. You either win or you learn. You can't change the past, la-di-da-di-da. But here's one thing that I do regret. I think, was it 04 was the last season in Montreal for the Expos. There were times that I went into Montreal with the Rough Riders as the road Canadian Football League team, and I wanted to go to an Expos game. The problem is, if you know Montreal at all, and I think you know it a little, you and I ran around that town together, but I don't think we went anywhere near Olympic Stadium. But it's out of the way from downtown.
Yeah.
And nobody would go with me. So I didn't go. And I should have gone. I should have got on the I'm intimidated by subways. I'm afraid that I'd punch a ticket and end up in Hoboken, New Jersey. You know what? I wouldn't get back in time for the game. Having said that, 93, I mentioned PA Raiders, West Coast trip. 1993. They were renovating the Key Arena in Seattle, now Climate Pledge Arena, but it was the Key Arena. They were renovating it. And the Seattle Supersonics were playing in the Tacoma Dome. It's 30 miles south of Seattle. I rode public transit in Seattle to Tacoma, which, by the way, don't ever do that. Almost got killed, but did it to go watch the NBA. And they played the Lakers and the T-Wolves, the Seattle Supersonics. I'm sitting there going, I wonder why I did it. I was 20, riding a bus from Seattle to Tacoma. But I wouldn't take the train to outside downtown Montreal to go watch the Expos. I guess I always thought, you know what, I'll go next year. Until what happened? There was no next year. And I never was able to watch the Expos in Olympic Stadium. And I'll take that regret to the grave. Anyways, we'll move on here in a second. But do you ever think that there'll be Major League Baseball to Montreal? What comes first to Montreal, MLB or NBA?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think MLB comes back before the NBA does. And I have the same regret, right? Not watching Tom Brady. It was always the same thing. I'll go next year, right? And Tennessee's playing there this year in Tampa. And I'm like, I'm going. Boom, pulls the chute, retires in the offseason, right?
Only because I lived it, I will tell you, eat the cake, take the trip, buy the tickets, do it. Man, you don't want to be old like me and on national television talking about your regrets. Randy from Winnipeg writes in and he says, I watched the Expos on French TV too. Listened to tunes while watching. Here's a funny one that you may not even know, Darren. C. Lightning writes in and says, friends were watching Expos games on a time delay. Did I ruin their cheering when I spilled the beans? If you remember, they were tape delaying the games, and Sam Cosentino was their play-by-play voice. He was just on with us the other day. And while that seemed very normal at the time, they played at 1, but we're not airing the game till 4. Can you imagine? But here's a funny story for you that you probably wouldn't know. Bill Hickey, who you know owned the Regina Pats, played in 3 straight Memorial Cup finals with the Regina Pats in the 50s, went and played for the Montreal Canadiens in the 60s, and as late as the 60s, Hockey Night in Canada, CBC was taping the Stanley Cup final games and shipping them on a train out to Western Canada where they were airing on a tape delay a month later. So Billy used to tell me this story because he was something else, man. You like me. This is Billy Hickey for you. Let me tell you a story, son. All the time. he would be at parties, because Billy liked to party, and people would be coming up to him, patting him on the back, going, way to go, winning the Stanley Cup. Way to go, winning the Stanley Cup. I just watched it last night. Billy's like, it's the middle of July. Yeah, but we just watched it last night. It was just on TV. He'd been home for a month. Can you imagine waiting a month to watch the Stanley Cup? Now it's part of the problem with the immediacy of life. But that's what that happened back in the 60s. I can't believe it.
That would be like akin to, being on a reality TV show. And they taped it months ago, and you're at home around your family. Did you win? We're watching the finale tonight. What? You're here? Yeah, I can't tell you what happened. You got to watch.
It's like our friend Hackowich family from Canadian Family Feud, for sure. Yeah, it does still happen today. Chad in Lethbridge watching. He says, I've been on the C train in Seattle. Sketchy. Buddy from the bachelor party passed out on it and rode the train all night long. At least he lived to tell the story. Well, maybe this is the time of the show that we tell stories. And somebody said, hey, getting into December, and you suggested it, we're going to be running some best of stories over Christmas holidays on this show. I'll never forget with that Raiders bus, and here's why I remember it. The bus said PA Raiders across the side, and on that team, doesn't really matter, but Dennis Pedersen, Shane Toporowski, Shane Knighty, Steve Kelly, Shane Willis. We were all so close. And there was a homeless guy out front of the gas station in PA, and he's like, the Raiders, huh? What are you raiding? He was looking at the side of the bus. We all, the gas station stopped, get your chips, get your pop, get your bag of nuts. And I said, what are we raiding? 2 points. And he started laughing. He thought it was funny. We're here to steal 2 points from your town. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says that's just how life was. Right. They didn't know any different. That's a very good point. You didn't feel like you were missing anything because you didn't know anything different. From Ryan Schultz, he says, good day from the Paw, Manitoba. Colin in Ottawa says, is it odd that I am angry? I never saw a football game in Skydome, but I saw a couple Expos games in the Big O in their finals. He says, well then, Colin in Ottawa, we're even, if that matters. The one thing I never really understood, and the want of society today, is to crap all over everything. I don't know why, and always has been, I guess. It's getting worse now, but Rogers Centre, Skydome, everybody dumped on that place as a football stadium. I loved it. And I might have had a personal tug to it because we, Saskatchewan Roughriders, 2 championships there, 1989 and 2007. But the first time I went to Skydome, I made a thermos of coffee that I brought with me, filled it, and went through the whole stadium. And you've done some of those trips with me. They're awesome, aren't they? I wanted to know every nook and cranny of Skydome, and I found it on the day of the game. And the vantage point was perfect. Best vantage point in the Canadian Football League was the Skydome. And there were some legendary games there in the CFL and some great Grey Cups. So, yeah, I guess you should have gone. When you go to Skydome, you've been to Rogers Centre. You went to some Jays games this year.
Went to some
How much
Jays
did you love it?
games, and they're doing more and more renos on that place. More amenities. It's a beautiful ballpark now, and you got great sight lines when you're in there, no matter where you're sitting. Like, I've sat down in the 100 level, and it's great, and you're close to the action. I've sat way up, like it's almost as high as you can get. When you're up there, you got great views of the CN Tower and downtown Toronto. I think that stuff's really cool. So, no, I think it's a great ballpark. It continues to get some upgrades, and good place. I really enjoy it there.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says it was like being in a tin can. Well, there's a lot of sayings that are sayings for a reason, cliches, and life is what you make it, half full, half empty. That dump in Calgary, McMahon Stadium, do you ever hear me go there and complain about it? No, I say it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I love games at McMahon Stadium. I love games everywhere. I'm happy just to open my eyes in the morning. So if you want to sit and crap on Skydome or whatever facility, that's up to you. I'm just not going to be that person. We'll talk about tonight's games in sports and more on the Corey Perry situation. We will update our poll when we come back. And Brien Rea, Dallas Stars TV voice, coming up too. Big win in Winnipeg last night, 2-0 We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I just opened up the text line, the Sober Carpenter text line, and it's full. Hadn't had it open for a while, so I apologize. I'm starting to slur drinking too much Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Can we bring the moose in? Dion. I can't. There you go. What'd you say? Your mic was off. What'd you say?
The placebo effect. You know, they give you a bunch of fake things thinking, you know.
It was fake beer, Rod. Oh, no, are you sure?
Yeah, exactly. Guy at the party drinking water, told him it was vodka. Yeah.
Over the shoulder into the plant.
Yeah.
Dion from Regina. Darren was sneaky when choosing the dark green can. I'm guessing he was looking at the lid. The pull tab on the other two cans was raised up, making the dark green one a dead giveaway. Is that how you knew, or did you truly guess?
No, I actually did. I thought you did a good job of showing the even cans. We should have done a poll, but I really thought just the way you were moving the other ones around, I could tell just which one was the heavier one. I had an idea.
Yeah, gotcha. Kirk in Toronto, we really opened something with the Expos thing. I tell you, did the Hawk realize what he's done here? I'd like to talk to him about this. Very important figure in my childhood, Andre the Hawk Dawson. And all those guys, Tim Wallach, Buck Rogers, Al Oliver, Gary Carter. We all talk like Dave Van Horn. He was the broadcaster. And actually, when the Marlins were founded, he came down here and served out his time. The guy was ahead of his time. Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, he says, Dave Van Horn and Duke Schneider loved the Expos. Yeah. And they had those powder blue blazers with the Expos logo on it. Oh, hot, hot, hot. Anyways, Kirk from Toronto says, my dad took my brother and I to an Expos game in 1969 at the old Jerry Park in Montreal. Montreal's a great town. But had I moved there, I'd have died. Ain't no two ways about it. Natasha is watching on Game Plus television in Winnipeg, and she says, they can't take the Expos out of my Montreal memory. My birth story has my dad racing out of the game against the Dodgers in 1982. Baseball is entrenched in our family. Yeah, I guess it is what it is. What I love is when you go to Montreal and any sporting goods store, any Champs, Lids, souvenir store, gosh knows there's a million of those along St. Catherine Street. They all still sell Expos merchandise. I don't know how the hell they let him get away. They weren't drawing. They were drawing flies. Like, you can't blame the owners for doing what they did. But, God, it sucks. Classic story. But I don't think the fans thought that they were serious. You know?
Teams don't just move for nothing, for no reason.
Right. Bill in Regina says, last year's hockey trip to Alberta, watch the Leafs, Flames, Oilers, and Bruins was a trip we should have made years ago. My brother and I still get asked, seems every day, like, to tell stories about it. Take the trip, eat the cake. I'm not joking. Tomorrow is not a given. Unfortunately, that's the thing, is you never know when your number's up, so do it. The fact that I never went to an Expos game, I'll survive. It doesn't keep me up at night, you know. And just one more. I wish I'd gone, but again, it's on the long list of regrets. That wouldn't be rated very high. Trevor, watching in Prince George, BC, writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line. He says, man, Rod, you've been a lot of places. Yeah, well, I was in the strip club in Prince George, and our trainer fell asleep on the stage. That's a true story. They didn't move him. So, yeah, there's that.
Dancing around him. Well, there's dollar bills collected on the back of his neck.
He's not gonna hurt anything. Don't worry, we'll vouch for him. He's good. There's a lot worse things going on around in here. What?
You peel his face off the thing, and there's loonies and toonies stuck to his face. Dollar bill, you know.
You should write a book, Rod. I've written 3. But I will say this.
None like that. I will say.
The real book, the one that everybody's waiting for. Haven't written that one yet. But we talk about transit service in Seattle, or, mind you were on the bullet train here, which they're calling the murder train. But I think it's killed like 9 people since it started, the Bright Line. But I've been everywhere to the point where I don't want to go anywhere anymore. I just remember Alan May. It always reminds me when he was on with us last hour, the Capitals TV. We were in Virginia last year, Richmond, Virginia, at Christmas, watching a Capitals game on TV. And I'm like, hey, I know that guy, Alan May. And the people we were staying with, they were like, no, how do you know him? Showed him pictures on stage together in Estevan. So anyways, that's what I want to do now, and thank God nobody's asking anymore, why? Because this Christmas, I don't know if I told you, we're going to New Orleans. Did I tell you that?
No.
Here's a good story.
You didn't.
We're leaving a couple days before Christmas. Serena's birthday's Christmas Day, and we're driving, as you look at it, all the way across the state of Florida, around the Gulf Coast, stopping in Destin, Florida, where Matt Dunnigan lives. I just talked to Matt. We lined it all up. It's on the way. And we're going to New Orleans, have the hotels booked, the whole thing, because she doesn't like to fly. I don't really care, but there's so many things around here that you could drive to that are super cool without having to fly. It's amazing. Anyways, completely back. I should not be surprised by this. The poll question today, I should not be surprised by the results of the poll question today. And the poll question, as always, is brought to you every day by our friends at Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group is driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca. For automotive excellence, the question is, will Corey Perry ever play in the NHL again? And the reason I was surprised, but I shouldn't be, it's like last I looked, it's like 50-50. And a little more no. 59% saying no, he'll never play in the NHL. Corey Perry, who's been placed on waivers by the Chicago Blackhawks for the purposes of terminating his contract. And bringing the Moose back in here, Alan May was with us last hour. And I think a little bit of it has to do with our age, in that we've just been around the block a little bit. This little tempest in the teapot it's not a tempest in a teapot, but this scandal will die away probably within a couple of days, depending on what he did. But I don't know if you watched the Alan May interview, Darren, and I don't want to put you on the spot if you didn't, but he basically said the same thing as me. We don't know what he did. Let's not run off with a knee-jerk reaction, because maybe it isn't that serious. Chicago knows that they're on the watch, if you will. So, and at 37, with his Stanley Cup and his millions made, I couldn't really blame him for wanting to just shut it down. But on the flip side, a lot of people don't want that to be the end of their story either. So you're probably not surprised that the vote is as close as it is. 59-41. No, he won't. Probably will end up closer to 50-50.
He's probably done, but as you say, you don't want that to be your last thing you're remembered for and have a negative end. You want to be, go out on your own terms. But if a guy's going to do that, you kind of have to make amends, right? And whatever he did, he's going to have to, win over the court of public opinion. He's going to have to be seen as a safe signing for teams, right? There's going to have to be some work done from him, and we're going to have to hear from him. He won't just quietly be able to just shove this in a closet and then come back and play hockey. That just won't be able to happen.
Well, we have to remember two things. Primarily, we're in a different time. This is not Michael Vick running a dog-fighting ring, which, quite frankly, I never thought he'd play again. He served 2 years in jail and came back and played in the NFL. He'd never do that now, I don't think. I don't think there's any way that he would. So in the case of Corey Perry, number one, will we ever find out what he did? I think eventually we will. Not necessarily from the Blackhawks, but somehow, just like Tom Brady missing 12 days of Buccaneers training camp. Big scandal at the time. Find out later he was fighting with his wife on the way to a divorce. It happens. I think we will eventually find out, and that will probably dictate a lot of whether he plays again or not. And then the other one is, to be honest with you, I got to be careful because I know for a fact, as do you, all the teams are watching. As a matter of fact, somebody wrote me, or not right, I was in a session with one of our advisors the other day, and he goes, the entire CFL is watching, and a very large part of the National Hockey League's watching your show, or at the very least, paying attention. So all I'll say about that is they got a lot of really young PR staff with these teams. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I don't know Chicago's PR staff, but I know a lot of the teams. A lot of these, because why? Younger, cheaper, but what comes with that is a lack of experience. So there's nothing to say that Chicago didn't complete. But how old's Kyle Davidson, the GM of the Blackhawks? 32? It was like Dubas with the Leafs. I don't care how old you are. There's a certain amount of life experience that you need to have. So Chicago might have botched this all too, let's not forget. Do you think there might be something to that?
There's a chance, but I don't think so. I think, they're being very careful to make sure they're going through everything the right way. And it's not just a GM hearing something and making a swift decision. It's the GM, it's management, it's the PR team, it's all, your legal team. I would think they have, talked this through and tried to, dot every I and cross every T twice, in pencil and then in pen and then in marker, to make sure they're doing this the right way, because I think they would be very nervous walking around a minefield not wanting to step on a landmine.
Maybe, but they completely botched the Aldridge thing. So let's be mindful of that. And granted, I am sure all those people are gone. I'm sure all those people are gone from that era. But let's just say it's the National Hockey League. It's the NFL. They must know what they're doing. Nope. You'd be surprised. Michael J. is watching in Maple Ridge, BC, and he says, every day you write the book, Rod, just like Elvis Costello. Because I might be able to help you even to get your other 3 back out there. It's okay. The Rider book is sold out, gone, done. They're not making any more. The Junior A 50-year history book we could probably find for you. And if you want the social media handbook, I can ship it to you. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, hey, Rod, have you tried the Irish red flavor of Sober Carpenter beer? It's my favorite. No, and I probably won't. I tend to stick with what I like. And this is the IPA, non-alcoholic craft beer. If Brien Rea's watching from Dallas right now, no, I've not cracked a beer on the air. Although I don't know that that's illegal anymore. Moose, we're done. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. Brien Rea of Dallas Stars Television joins us next. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacroix. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
My name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Doesn't that scene just scream hockey? That's what we're talking about today. 3 games in the NHL tonight. 10 last night in Winnipeg. Goalie Jake Ottinger stopped 27 shots to record his first shutout of the season, leading Dallas over the Winnipeg Jets 2-0. Tyler Seguin and Joe Pavelski scored for Dallas. Connor Hellebuck stopped 19 at 21 shots for Winnipeg, snapping his personal 4-game win streak. Brien Rea was on that crew that called it last night. Another win for the Stars. Ho-hum, Brien. Seems like the Stars are rounding into form here, or just keep pedal to the metal, man. That's a very good hockey team that you're following.
Overall, it's been a good season. I agree with you on that, but considering they had dropped an ugly one to Calgary the game before on home ice where they gave up 5 unanswered, I think some fans, that's a sour taste to end a 5-game homestand on. So it was good to see them play that well in Winnipeg. And, oh, look at that. They get Calgary again tomorrow in Calgary. So we'll see how the do-over looks for the Stars in 24 hours.
Okay, I'm actually glad you brought up that Flames game because I watched a pretty good chunk of that one, and that one was wild. Yeah, they blew it. But from a pure hockey fans update, perspective, if you like goals, that was a wild one. Like, that gets the ticker going, especially compared to last night, a shutout. I mean, I like defensive hockey, but the unpredictability of that game the day after Thanksgiving was insane.
The word that we kept using was loose, and it certainly felt like a game that was the day after Thanksgiving. You say if you like goals, I say if you like fire wagon hockey. You know, there's any way you can describe it, but it was entertaining, and I think if you're a Flames fan, to see a third period like that, especially after the way the season started for Calgary and that month of October, that's probably one of those, okay, are we starting to see the spark that's going to turn things in the right direction? So from a Flames perspective, yeah, that was a heck of a game to watch. Disappointing from the Stars perspective, but from a goals perspective, that was a heck of a game the day after Thanksgiving.
Allie in Texarkana says, by the way, bring on the best broadcaster in the NHL. She's referring to you, and to be honest, you coming on this show has introduced us to Allie, and she watches us every day, so I appreciate that whole connection there. But, you know, I have to say this. I wonder if the Stars get their due. And I'll remind you, my dad worked for them for 26 years. Started in Minnesota, moved to Dallas in whatever, was it 93, 95, whatever, doesn't matter. This is one of the best teams in the NHL, going back to their Stanley Cup final appearance with Rick Bowness to now. They're always in it near the end. And I just feel like they don't get the respect that a team should that has their resume. Agree or disagree?
I don't know if I would use the word respect. I think, and maybe this is me just sort of accepting the fate of working in a market like Dallas and for a team like the Dallas Stars. If this team, the way they're playing right now, is playing in a Canadian market or an Original Six market, sure, there might be a few more spotlights and a few more trumpets blaring right now with what they've been able to do and how good their start has been. But you're playing in a market that is owned by the Dallas Cowboys, and it's the equivalent of the Maple Leafs in Toronto, the Yankees in New York, you know, the Cubs in Chicago when they're at the height of their success. It's the same thing down here in Texas. It's a football state, and the Cowboys are the big dog. Now, that being said, it's not like the Dallas Stars are doing this completely unnoticed and being completely ignored. From a team perspective, I know that season ticket sales increased. They sold out the lower bowl of their arena after last year's run to the Western Conference Finals. So there obviously is an appetite for it, and they perked up a couple of years with that run they had last year, and obviously the hype going into this season. But I also think that it's not entirely a bad thing, and I'll give you an example of Miro Heiskanen, who last year I think started to get some real notoriety in the Norris Trophy conversation. Now, he didn't have the points. I think he was 7th in the final voting, but for a player like him, it really comes down to what you want. If he's playing in a Canadian market or a major media market, maybe his stock is a little higher just based on conversation. Maybe he gets award votes or individual votes a little more frequently if he's in a bigger market like that. But he gets to live a pretty laid back and comfortable life down here in Dallas, to where he can probably go to the grocery store and not have to worry about awkward conversations or being hounded because the team's in the middle of a losing streak or anything like that. So there is some benefits to being on a bit of an island down here in Dallas, where if you're the type of person that wants a little bit of a laid back lifestyle, or somebody like Matt Duchene, who is, when I was chatting with him at the start of the year, he said he's always enjoyed just the culture of the South. And, he loved Nashville. He grew up in a musician family. Dallas was another city that he really just genuinely enjoyed. He's a big country music fan. So there's pros and cons to being right in the middle of the heat lamp and also being away from it. So you always want to be talked about more. You always want to garner more attention. But also at the end of the day, if you win hockey games, the attention is eventually going to find you.
Yeah, well said. And by the way, I just view Dallas as a hidden gem. Like when I'm there, I'm like, oh my God,
sure.
Everybody needs to know about this. But I think they're okay that not everybody knows about this. And I don't just mean the hockey team, I mean the city in general. I'm not done with that Jets game last night. Central Division clash. The standings are pretty tight. No, I'm just saying, Did you build that up like a huge Central clash? Because I'm looking at Winnipeg. You know how their fans are completely demoralized because they expect to win every game. But the Stars are just still better. Like how big of a game was that for the Stars in your mind?
I think any game within the Central Division is huge for the Dallas Stars. And you talk about Dallas being a hidden gem. They were in Winnipeg last night where it was frigid. I think it felt like it was 20 degrees. We've got 62 degrees outside, and we're about to enter December. So the fact that you can still play golf at this time of year, don't tell anybody, but that is also another perk of playing down here in Dallas. But for the Winnipeg Jets, I think also for Dallas locally, I mean, they've had some absolute knuckle-dragging battles with the Winnipeg Jets over the years. Scheifele and Ben have been at each other. It feels like every time they play, I know it was a 2-0 shutout last night, but it never feels like either team is comfortably in front. It's either an overtime finish or a one-goal finish or an empty netter or a late change. And going to that game last night, Winnipeg found their legs in that third period, and they were bringing some serious heat on Dallas, trying to protect that 1-0 lead. And then finally, Dallas flipped things around on a quick turnaround or a quick transition play, and Seguin gets the goal. And that kind of broke the back, it felt like, of the Jets and the fans in that game. But yeah, looking at the standings race, the fact that those two teams were tied entering that game, it's probably this way in the NHL regardless, but it just feels like the games within the Central Division have such a deciding factor in how the division will pan out. And Dallas finishing last year 1 point behind Colorado, there was a couple of games that were decided via the shootout or via overtime, and if Dallas wins one of those games as opposed to being on the wrong side of it, they're sitting as the number 1 seed and the winner of the Central Division as opposed to Colorado. I'm a little more patient. I still look at it that there's still 60-something games left, and a lot of things can happen and change. But division points, you bank them anywhere you can bank them, and Dallas did a good job getting those 2 last night.
Jeff, the Stampeders fan, writes in. He says, when I've been in Dallas, I can't get the old TV show theme song out of my head. Right? Do, 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 do. Yeah, the camera panning over Texas Stadium. Yeah, we all remember it. Great television show. Brian, lastly, yeah, go ahead. You look like you want to say something.
No, just, hey, no, as long as Jeff recognizes who shot JR, the theme song will work itself out.
How about that?
I can't even remember who shot JR. And I watched it.
I can't either.
40 years ago.
And I remember just the dream sequence where Patrick Duffy woke up in the shower and it was a dream sequence because the audience hated that they killed him off the show or whatever happened. It was the worst rewrite.
And Victoria Principal. It was so great. Last question. You said the Flames next in Calgary Thursday. You talk about rivalries. They met in the playoffs not that long ago. I don't think these teams like each other very much, Flames and Stars.
It's been fun. And, that's the great thing about a playoff series. They can enhance a rivalry, create a rivalry. Sometimes it's short-lived. Sometimes it buds into something longer term. I think we're sort of on the in-between with Calgary and Dallas right now. But that 7-game series was just so fantastic. And not just the 7th game, but really that whole series. And ever since then, before the last game against Calgary, I was looking this up. So the last 8 times the Stars and the Flames have met just regular season, 6 of those 8 have been decided by a goal, 2 of those 6 in overtime. And I think the Flames won both of the overtime finishes. So it's gotten to a point where these two teams can't play what I would say a normal hockey game. Something wacky happens, whether it's a goaltending duel, whether it's 5 unanswered goals for Calgary to take that last game, whether it's Dallas blowing open a big lead, the first meeting on November 1st in Calgary, then the Flames came roaring back, but Dallas held them off. And the road team has won each of the first 2 games of this series. So tomorrow's going to be really interesting, and I think a lot of fun to watch, because also it's not very often 2 teams face each other 3 times in a month. It's not just 2 times in the last 3 games for the teams, but they also played on November 1st. So 3 times in a month, the Stars and the Flames will see each other. I think tomorrow could be a really fun game to watch, regardless of how it turns out.
I will guarantee you weren't alive. November 21st, 1980, the episode aired. The person who pulled the trigger and shot JR was Kristen Shepard. She was JR's scheming sister-in-law and mistress who shot him in a fit of anger.
Spicy.
See what we solved today?
This is what we do. We do hockey and we do 80s dramas. This is we cover everything.
Approved.
Love it. Love it. Okay, man, keep it up. Keep up the great work, and thanks for coming on today. I always appreciate it.
Good to talk to you. Have a happy holidays, if I don't talk to you beforehand.
Yeah, you too. Brien Rea, Bally Sports TV, Dallas Stars TV host. Overtime's next. Viewer takeover and one final sports update for Common Crown Brewing out of Calgary. We're live on the Game Plus TV network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, we are back at it with overtime and a quick check of the poll for Key Auto Group. Remember, at the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. The poll question today is, will Corey Perry ever play again in the NHL? Still 59% of you saying no, he will not. We've done a lot of hockey coverage today, and that's because we are a hockey show, probably first. And Overtime Hockey Lanes is the proud presenting partner of this overtime segment right now, where skill and fun collide. An amusement park for hockey enthusiasts. Go check them out. Don't take my word for it, or do. 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, just a slap shot away from the old Crossroads Flea Market. It's just the most fun you can have with your clothes on. How about that, Clark?
How about that?
Yeah, buddy. Rick Regan. 902-518-30. 902-518-3033 is the Sober Carpenter text line. We have only 4 minutes left here in the show, so if you want to talk at me, get at me now. And I want to say I'm turning my phone off the rest of the day. Save for, we're filming the latest Cats and Bolts podcast episode in about an hour's time, where we talk Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. Serena, Dawn, and I. Not Serena, Dawn, Cherry, and I. No, Serena Dawn, that's her middle name. Sports update, there are only 3 games in the NHL tonight, including one in Columbus, Ohio, where the Montreal Canadiens play the Blue Jackets. The Habs, with a 9-10-2 record, are hoping to beat the struggling Blue Jackets. They're 7-12-4. Also tonight, the New York Rangers host Patrick Kane and the Detroit Red Wings. Is he there already, Clark? Is he with Detroit? Is he playing tonight? It says here. How about that? Well, that's the game of the night. That was an easy one. That's the game of the night. Rangers and Red Wings and the Washington Capitals visit the LA Kings. The 8-10 Toronto Raptors will host the 11-6 Phoenix Suns in one of 7 NBA games tonight. Raps lost to Brooklyn last night, 115-103. The Canadian Mixed Curling Championship is returning to Ontario for the first time in 8 years. The 2024 Canadian Mixed will be in St. Catharines, Ontario. It was announced by Curling Canada. 14 provincial and territorial mixed teams will compete at the St. Catharines Golf and Curling Club for an opportunity to represent Canada at the 2025 Mixed Worlds. And here's a story, and as my guy Matt DeBuck would say, he coaches the high school team in Fort Lauderdale, Cardinal Gibbons High School, just lost a league final last week. He go, only Rod could pull this off. From the mixed curling to this, Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt was named Offensive Player of the Week in the American Athletic Conference today. And what's notable about that is Michael Pratt is from Boca Raton, Florida, went to Boca Raton High School. He's the all-time leading passer at Tulane, alma mater of former Rough Rider linebacker Sean Lucas. And by the way, the Tulane Green Waves head coach, Willie Fritz, was named coach of the conference for the second consecutive year today. Pratt, a 4-year starter, Michael Pratt of Boca, 21-2 all-time over the past 2 seasons. Sports Update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, starring Rachel Zegler and Tom Blythe. And brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Things are slowing down a little bit. We didn't have CFL games to promote and that kind of stuff. We're going to save our NHL top 5, bottom 5 for tomorrow. We'll be talking about Touchdown Pacific tomorrow. Friday, getting you ready for Week 13 in the NFL. We've got a Argonauts great going to join us on Friday, but we're not going to tell you just yet who it is. And, hey, double UHL tonight, because why not? Medicine Hat at Swifty tonight, Calgary at Lethbridge. If you're driving down there, be safe. Wenatchee at Kelowna, Saskatoon at Spokane, and Kamloops at Victoria. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you at noon Eastern right here tomorrow on Game Plus and Key Radio. McFly, hello.